From the nation's capital, this is the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast with your host, Rob Snowhite.
This is the 289th episode of the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast. My name is Rob Snowhite. We're going to start off this episode with a little somber note. I'm going to apologize to any clients, any person that's emailed me or messaged me on social media in the last couple of weeks. I've been a little remiss in replying. Today would be my parents' 51st wedding anniversary. This is the November 26th date. And my mom lost her life 1 week ago to a short battle with brachial ALS. I had a friend, Doug, passed away from ALS a couple years ago, quickly after his diagnosis. So I knew it was coming. I really hadn't been able to see my mom since COVID started until the very end. In fact, I took the Pixie over there to say goodbye to her about 2 weeks ago, and then I had a client, and I was just distracted the whole time with the client, just thinking about my mom just not being able to spend time with my daughter, who's only 9.5. I had 44 years with her, and my little one only had 9 years, and that's going to bother me for a long time. But my dad's coming over tonight for Thanksgiving dinner. It's just going to be the four of us. We're cooking a nice small meal. This is my second Thanksgiving ever without my mom. The first one was 95. My mom and dad drove to Florida to see my grandmas as their lives were closely coming to an end. And this is the first one where she's gone. It's going to be a tough evening, but we're all here together, and we're going to eat, we're going to drink, and we're going to laugh. So that's going to be awesome. I will have her obituary available for anybody that wants to read it. It will be on probably this episode's notes online. If anybody wants to look my mom up, her name was Deede Snowhite, Deede, and her birth name is Deirdre. Sorry, she didn't really want to go by her real name, Deirdre, and my grandparents apparently misspelled it on her birth certificate. So let's bring this podcast to a happier note. In this week's episode, we catch up with Joseph Evans in Montana. Joseph is an aspiring guide. He wants to have fly fishing as his full-time gig and lifestyle. And what other freshman do you know that lives in a dorm that has their own drift boat? We're going to learn about his summers working in a fly shop. We're going to learn about his local fisheries between Idaho and Montana and how he chases big trout in these rivers and stillwaters of the West. We'll learn a really cool hack for measuring water depth in stillwaters. We're going to find out how Joseph utilizes modern social media to share his adventures with people throughout the world. This episode is brought to you by Solo Stove. I've never had to purchase firewood in my life. I've always just gone out and collected it. But we use so much firewood now with our bonfire, we had to get a delivery. We got half a cord delivered. And make sure when you do get your firewood that it's small enough to fit inside your Solo Stove depending on the size. We have the bonfire, which is a bit smaller, so we can't use really big logs. You also want to make sure that none of the logs are sticking out above the top because those are going to smoke, and that will negate the entire purpose of your awesome Solo Stove, which is to have a more or less smokeless fire pit. One of my favorite parts about the bonfire is just how quickly it goes out when we're done at night. You let those hot embers just go. You can douse them with some water. I actually like to throw ice cubes on them because they melt slower. And your embers are sitting above a pile of ashes on perforated metal. So when all of it goes out, it's out for good. You don't have to worry about a startup fire when you're sleeping. Last school year, we were hanging out at the school playground, and our neighbor's fire pit caught fire when the wind picked up that afternoon. They thought they'd put it out the night before, but the embers were still hot. Someone had to jump the fence and hose it down. You don't have to worry about that with a Solo Stove. Its efficiency in burning makes it not have to worry about catching fire when you're done. You currently have a Black Friday deal on, and you have to go through my website or my social media links for Solo Stove so I get credit. You can currently receive up to 30% off during their Black Friday deal, and please remember that hook sets are always free. Enjoy this podcast, and think of Deede tonight when you're eating your meal. Have a good one, y'all. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So Joseph Evans, where are you right now? If we're going to throw a dart at a map, where are you?
I am in Missoula, Montana, on the University of Montana campus in my dorm room.
It's not a bad place to go to school.
No, not at all. It's feeling good.
Have they fixed the Frosty machine at the Wendy's near downtown Missoula? It was broken in the summer of '96. Was the last time
I haven't been there in quite some time, so I wouldn't know, but that's funny that you remember that.
All right. Yeah, dude. So what year are you in school right now?
I just completed my first semester.
Oh, wow.
So I'm practically a sophomore or junior going into college with just some high school credit behind me. But I just finished my first year of college. So I'm practically a sophomore incoming junior with credits, but I am a freshman.
Nice. So do you have a celebrity doppelganger for those who may not have seen you online before? You look a little Nordic, maybe some Swedish in you.
Russian. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm 50%.
All right.
50%. My whole mom's side is from Russia. God, you're knocking out of the ballpark with finding little knickknacks about me.
Yeah, right, man. So does your mom, since this is Turkey Eve, does she put gravy on her turkey?
Yes.
Really? There's something about the Russians that they don't like gravy. Maybe it's the Russians in Ohio.
I feel like she doesn't use it or like eat it, but she makes it for us.
And she was born there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Does she use modern appliances like vacuum cleaners and leaf blowers if she had to? Or does she do it the hard way?
Hard way usually, but she's pretty modern, I'd say.
Okay. Interesting.
She's been here like 20 plus years, excuse me.
Okay. And where were you born? You're not a Montana native.
I'm not. I was born in Tampa Bay, Florida.
It's quite the difference from tarpon to brown trout.
Yes, very.
And how did you get into fishing in general, and then what led to the fly fishing?
Totally, yeah. I started fishing with my dad, and we moved to Boise, Idaho from Florida. I was about a kindergartner, first grader, and 9 years old, and started started just conventional fishing, bass ponds and stock trout ponds. We'd fish the Boise River right out back, and that was awesome. Did the whole worm thing, and then my dad picked up some fly fishing gear and thought he would just try that for fun with me, and we'd learn together and go out together. And then my dad picked up a job opportunity back in Florida when I was still at that young age, and left me to drop it or keep fishing. And I kept fishing. I just taught myself because we didn't get too far together. But I eventually, through my local fly shop and YouTube videos and everything, I kept picking it up and kept trying and got to learn on my own.
Very cool.
It was cool.
And how is COVID affecting your fishing?
It's made it to where I am forced to get out more, I guess.
Because there was just a New York Times article about the rivers being just overflowing with people and boats.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's out fishing because what's better to do with COVID going on? There's nothing social truly going on, so everyone's outside. That's why the unexpected guide season for everybody was so much busier than they thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I'm still booking clients out here. And, this is usually the doldrums, maybe one trip on Black Friday, and then I've got some time off. But there's a lot of people picking it up for the first time. It's good for us.
That's awesome. What do you guide?
So I do urban, local fly fishing around Washington, D.C.
No way.
So, there could be bodies. There's piles of poop from homeless people. There's shopping carts. There's every kind of litter, spray paint, graffiti.
Wow.
It's interesting out there, but the fish are all close. You don't have to drive very far.
That's so cool.
You can catch a snakehead 2.5 blocks from the White House.
Yeah, literally. That's so cool.
Pretty crazy, our fishery down here, which is shutting down. We don't have the cold water fishery like you. You got to drive, a little over hour to hour and a half west of here to go find trout. So I don't really get into trout much.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. So you would consider yourself a millennial?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Are there a lot of people your age that fish? Is your school full of a lot of anglers that go there to fish?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of outdoorsmen here in University of Montana. And a lot of them fish. I wouldn't say as many are hardcore. A lot of them are more, I'd say more college bodies. They try to stay home or stay around campus or whatever, but I'm out there like all the time. At least not many people had the balls that would buy a drift boat their first year. I don't know how I had the balls to do it. But most people are a lot of wade fishermen, and then once they kind of move off campus, they kind of go bigger and get a raft or something where they can have more options.
Yeah, so let's get into college life and fishing. So what are you studying? What's your major going to be?
My major's in journalism. I do like to write about fly fishing. I like photojournalism, but sadly, with it being the beginning of my years here in college, I'm having to do a lot of like political New York Times type of things in my journalism classes. But hopefully, I'll be able to major in journalism with like specifics in multimedia and photojournalism.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Time to do that with all of the.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. And how much studying do you get done between your fishing, or should I say, how much fishing do you get done between your studying?
Well, I took 19 credits this year, which is a pretty high amount, and I was still able to fish plenty. It was definitely the lenience of being able to go on Zoom, and I only had about half of my classes were in person. So I would usually go to class, and when the daylight savings didn't hit as hard, I was just going out and hitting the river for a 4 to 6 hour float real quick when I got out at 1:30, 2 o'clock. And so I'd fish and definitely on the weekends. So I'd fish, I'd say 2 or 3 times a week.
Do you have a shuttle service out there?
No, they do, but I've just made friends here so quickly that do the same thing as me, and we always just take 2 cars.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of places in my area where you can put in and then come out, a couple miles downstream.
Right.
There are very few boat ramps around here. And then we've got Great Falls in the way also, which is a huge set of waterfalls between Maryland and DC, which is George Washington tried building a canal around it so he could get commerce to the mountains. And that was a pretty big ordeal. Wow. You can actually see remnants. One of the spots we do smallmouth trips to upriver is got old original George Washington's canal.
Wow, that's so cool.
That's pretty neat. So do you have a roommate?
I do. In this dorm, I got one, but he just left back home today. Oh, he doesn't really share as many things as I do that we like to do. He plays on his computer and stuff, and time flies. We're back to back.
My college roommate played Nintendo pretty much always. He was
an
an interesting dude. We no longer converse. Maybe I saw him at graduation. I was like, I don't think we actually really talked after the last day of freshman year.
Yeah.
We didn't have much in common. And he didn't fish.
Yeah, it's hard to connect with a roommate that you don't share anything in common with.
But the guys I ended up hanging out with were the ones that fished.
There you go.
Bumped into Gary last year at the boat ramp on the Occoquan River. My roommate, who I haven't seen since he moved out and my now wife moved in. And that would be,
man.
It was almost 20 years ago in April or May.
Wow, that's crazy.
So where do you keep all your gear? Do you got like oars and stuff in your room and rods hanging out?
I do have a truck, and I basically keep everything I can in there in the bed, and I got a camper shell on top, and it works out like perfect, man. All
nice and locked up. You got a guard dog in there, maybe a snake.
Dude, I've been broken into before, not in my truck, but in a truck that my buddy's dad had, and it's like I lock up every time for sure. Like it's dangerous, and there's break-ins in college parking lots often too, so it's like scary.
There's a ton of people going around. I mean, I hear it all the time that people are getting car jacked in DC and car hopped. So on the night before July 4th, we were going to Ohio, and I didn't lock our car. I'm assuming I didn't lock it because in the morning, fishing gear is all there, but as we're driving, I'm like, where's all the food for the road? I put a whole reusable shopping bag on the shotgun seat, and whoever opened my door took all the food.
Wow.
Thousands of dollars worth of fishing gear in the back, but they took Triscuits and snack cakes and some Cokes.
Wow. And they didn't touch anything else?
No, they did the whole neighborhood. Someone got them on a ring camera. They were wearing full biohazard suits.
Biohazard suits.
Yeah, in case someone's car had the Rona in it or something,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I want to get bear traps or something, put those around the car at night.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
I actually catch someone.
It'd be, yeah, or like a trap, like a net.
Yeah.
Like how they caught C-3PO in Return of the Jedi, if you know that reference. Hopefully you do.
I think I do.
Yeah, you're like Peter Parker's age in the Avengers. He knows about the Star Wars.
Yeah.
So where do you keep your boat? Is that always in tow?
No, it is not. I keep it so I was keeping it during the better weather on just paying for a piece of dirt just outside of town. I just go grab it in the morning of or the evening of some fishing. And now it is hanging out in a buddy's garage.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you don't get all the winter stuff. I got to cover mine up tomorrow. I don't think I'm using it for a while. It's just full of leaves right now.
Yeah.
What are your hubs, man? Do you keep those bearings greased?
They're good. Yeah, I actually don't keep them greased. I probably should. In the spring, I hope to do like a really big cleanup / like renovate the whole trailer and drift boat setup because that whole setup that I have was used, and I hope to, bring it back to life.
I've had a bad year with bearings. Bad enough now that I carry a whole kit to swap them out on the road.
Wow.
Like I carry extra cotter pins, extra bearings, grease seals. I carry extra grease, gloves, all the tools.
Dang.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've had to learn the hard way.
I believe it.
I was on my way to a client and I heard pop. And I had plenty of time to swap it out. So
that's good.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty. And what kind of boat do you have? It's a green raft?
It's an RO skiff.
Okay, so the green raft in your YouTube, is that your old one?
I used to have a green raft.
So now you have the rowboat. There's a guy in Virginia who had a pine tree fall in his row drift boat. Nothing happened to it.
Wow. That's nuts.
It's a solid boat.
It is a solid boat. I'd agree. Yeah. I like it a lot.
And what do you keep in your boat with you? What's your go-to, like, in your gear bag? TP, food?
Honestly, I'm pretty scrappy. I'd say I do like Dr. Pepper, but I'm a big Gatorade, Powerade drinker. Always got a water bottle, and then always a Sammy with maybe some almonds or Chex Mix. Try and keep it somewhat healthy if I can, but I don't want to lie to myself on here. Gotta have maybe like one thing of candy, and that's like for the food-wise, just enough to get me by. Sometimes I don't even eat, which is pretty unhealthy, but...
when you're fishing, you're not paying attention to the belly. I'll get thirsty, but I don't really get hungry too often.
That's so true. Yeah. And then my flies, I really just keep all my flies in one like conventional tackle box container, but that's going to change.
Well, let's start talking about your gear and your fishing. What is your style? So you're a mountain streamer dude. We referred to you as a streamer bro on a previous podcast.
I do love streamers. I think that is the most effective way of catching big fish. I don't like fishing small dries, but it's made me a better angler for sure. And I like to throw streamers even in the winter. In the summer, I do love to throw big dries, but I definitely like to chase bigger fish. I think that's just kind of part of the challenge. It's not that I don't cherish the smaller fish. I've just caught those smaller fish time and time again, and I want to continue to chase big ones because that's what makes fly fishing challenging.
You throwing a big heavy rod with that to throw those big articulated flies?
I throw an 8-weight most times, and some people look at me funny, but I just like having more leverage. But you can also throw a 6 or 7. I'm going to have a 6-weight here soon, a native rod 6-weight, and I'm excited for that. And I'll fish that with like nymphs and dry droppers, and then I'll have an 8-weight and I have a 5-weight.
Nice. With working at a fly shop over the summer, did you take advantage of a discount?
Oh yeah, there's tons of cool discount opportunities.
Yeah, I do miss that.
Yeah,
to pick something right off the shelf when you're there.
Oh yeah, it would take away from the paycheck quick though. You wouldn't really see much of a paycheck if you just put it on the tab of your account. Which isn't a sad number to see at the end of the month.
And what fly shop did you work at this summer?
I worked at Henry's Fork Anglers in Island Park.
That had to have been a pretty awesome learning experience.
Very. I learned a lot. I left Boise with a lot of confidence just because Boise had a pretty small fly fishing community, which is growing incredibly right now. And then when I got to Allen Park, like I said, I had high confidence, and it all just went out the window with how competitive the other anglers, not like competitive as in talented they are, and the competition is very, very high. And so then I started back at the bottom of the totem pole, and I hope to work my way up with time and experience and knowledge all alongside, like as I learn.
Were they making you clean the store, clean all the waiters when they'd come in, clean the toilets?
Shirley Lawson, she's the reason why our shop is clean. She's awesome at managing keeping everything clean. And, when Shirley's around, you're cleaning windows, and it was awesome.
I've had my fair share of being the youngest and the new guy in a fly shop. And
you
get something pretty awful. While everyone else is hanging out, chatting about fishing, you're out there doing who knows what. The dirty work.
If you come into that conversation, they look at you like you're stupid.
Right. Do your friends row drift boats so you can fish while they get behind the oars?
A lot of the friends I met here at college didn't really know how to, and I actually was able to help introduce them to rowing and taught them, and it was really cool because then by the end of the season and the year here in college, everyone was able to row that came on the boat.
That's pretty awesome.
But some I met did know, and some I actually connected with a couple guys that were here, that lived here that I met prior before I got to Missoula, which is cool too.
Do you plan on going back to Idaho after school? Or are you going to stay in Montana?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Idaho back home for the holidays tomorrow. But do you mean after college?
Yeah, when you're in the real world, as they would say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question. I do believe so. I feel like Idaho definitely has a place in my heart. And I do like Idaho. Montana's incredible, but they're super close. So I feel like if you choose one or the other, in the end, they're kind of the same state. Kind of.
And no steelhead in Montana.
That is very true, and I do like to chase steelhead.
You said you got a steelhead project you're working on at school, too.
I did. So that was a senior project I did, and I completed it, and we were the only group in our graduating class to complete that project because it all got canceled due to COVID.
So senior year, you got totally everything just shut down?
Yeah, I had the most awkward graduation in the world. It stunk, man.
Well, see, mine was awful. No one liked the guy that was the speaker. It took 3 or 4 hours, and we're all just sitting there bored out of our minds.
Yeah, and some kids were like, I rather would have graduated simpler than going through that whole process. But I wanted to go through that process because I feel like you've got to go through the process.
I'm gonna do some more streamer stuff because that seems to be quite popular these days. Are you tying your own?
I do, but also I'll use whatever. I truly don't believe in the color and everything, and the type of streamer matters as much as the presentation, how you present the fly and where you put it.
Okay. Do the materials going into it help with the presentation, the landing, the initial movement when it hits the water and grabs their attention?
Yes, I agree. Every fly moves differently. I do believe that certain flies produce better than others at times. For example, if you're really if these fish are lethargic and a little bit slower and aren't really interested in attacking something on the surface, you've got to be able to tie a fly where it's got less material and can sink down quicker, but also still move very well, through an articulation or something.
Do you keep a second hook on your articulated flies?
I do, yeah. I mean, if I'm allowed to fish an articulation, I'll do it any day of the week.
Yeah, I got burned by one of those once, getting stuck in my hand. I've been hesitant to fish I'll sell them, but I'm hesitant to fish them myself. I feel like I need to cut that second hook off. So the bass bit the first hook, and then while I was lipping the bass, I dropped it. And the weight, so then the second hook went through my thumb because the weight of the fish was pulling it down. And my wife's like, why are you screaming like a little girl? And I'm like, ah. And the fish is flopping around, moving that hook in my thumb.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, that's
Not
so
cool.
funny. I've had the same thing happen to me with like a big 4-pound largemouth and a Rapala.
Mm-mm.
It is not a good time. I feel your pain.
Yeah. So lethargic, you're talking winter fishing for them or hot heat of the summer? Do you do
Ooh,
the hoot
that's a
owls
great.
get you shut down, right?
Some of the waters do, yeah. But not all. I think streamer fishing in the winter is definitely the most productive. I think that's when fish, eat less meals but eat bigger meals. And then, they are lethargic, but trout do love cold water, so it's like they're not like freezing, you know what I mean? But I definitely like to present my flies deeper in the winter than I would care for in the summer. The summer, I feel like a fish is a lot more willing to. Most of them are already looking up at the top, anyways, so they can come up and smash a streamer. But there's also places where, if there's certain river systems with certain fish that just got psycho lateral lines that'll come up and eat it on the surface at any given time.
Using a sink tip or using some extra weight on that fly to get it down to the deeper fish holding overwinter?
I like to use a sink tip and a weighted fly. It all depends on the length of your leader, though. So, like, if another great tactic I like to use is a floating line with a heavy fly and a long fluorocarbon leader, then that fly is going to have a lot of action, and it's going to be able to get down deep through that long leader and have a very good jigging action, almost like bass. I like to think of bass when I'm streamer fishing for trout in a way, like moving the fly wise. But then also I do like a sink tip just because my line in general, if I'm going through a big wide run, I'd want to keep my line in the water as long as possible. And especially if I'm out of a boat, I like a sink tip because you're making short casts and you're bumping it 2-3 times until you relift and go again when you're hammering the bank. I think it's very important to have a heavy sink tip to get it down in those 2-3 bumps you make before you pull it back out again.
How fast is the water? Do you have enough time to get it down before the boat's already past the spot?
Definitely matters on the rower, if he's slowing you down for you. Also matters on the type of river too and the structure. I'd say yes, you definitely have enough time to throw it. You just sometimes got to throw it a little bit ahead of yourself with streamer fishing, and then as you're catching up to your line, that slack when your fly lands, you are tight with it, and then you're usually in line with the boat.
And you seem to be a fan of the rod over the shoulder pose. How did that come about?
I feel like I've done that pose a handful of times. Not a bunch, but in my past I did a good amount. It's always great to just kind of show that it's a fly rod, and it's just prideful, I guess you could say. It's exciting.
You're not worried that fish might jerk and that rod's going into the drink?
If it does, it is what it is. But if it's in the winter, I don't want my rod and reel getting in the water because it's just going to stay frozen.
Yeah, so we would normally be up around this time of year steelhead fishing and having to worry about that.
Yeah.
But I don't even think we can get to New York right now.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any steelhead for me. Maybe I could do Pennsylvania or Ohio. I don't know. Not the way things are going, though.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I'll be in Michigan in about a week from now, and I hope to do some Great Lakes steelhead. I've never done it before.
Nice. With your lady friend?
Yes.
Yeah, where in Michigan is she?
She lives out of Grand Rapids, just about 30 minutes.
Okay. The Pier Marquette, it's probably one of the prettiest streams I've ever seen.
Yeah, I hope to try it.
Yeah, go up to Baldwin, say hi to the guys at Stealthcraft for me.
Okay.
They're right on the river, basically.
Wow, I didn't know they were made there.
Yeah.
That is way cool.
I've been up there before. It's far for me, but I drove. So,
wow.
Do you know which rivers you're going to fish?
I'm going to try. I think I'm going to try the Pier Marquette, maybe the Rogue, but Pier Marquette for the most part, the flat's really close to her place. But I think I'm going to focus on the Pier Marquette and maybe try the Muskegon. But I don't know how weighting would be on the Muskegon. It seems pretty big.
Yeah, I don't know much of that myself. I've only seen one of the Michigan steelhead streams.
And then maybe the Grand as well if conditions are right. I've heard you got to time them just right.
Yeah, and I think all those West Coast Michigan streams are all really sandy. Just from the nature of the sand dunes that were there. Their sand dunes are left over from whatever used to be there. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Sand out there.
That's cool. I guess I'll know.
The podcast I did with Glenn, like a year or so ago. He's from Michigan. He was telling us about it. I'd have to go back and listen.
That's awesome.
So you're gonna fly
I'll
with
have to go find it.
You're gonna fly with your waders and all your layers and stuff.
Yeah, I gotta figure out. I'm doing that tomorrow. Because I gotta put a bunch of moving out of this dorm room. So I gotta put a bunch of my dorm room stuff in my car and I'm leaving my car and I'm flying back home, and then I'm taking everything I pack from here and flying over to Michigan. So I gotta get some strategy for airplane attire.
Oh man, have your clothes and then wear your waders and then a wading coat, your buff, and then your Costas, and then you're COVID free. I don't think COVID can get through waders.
No, that's very true, especially when you're like anything you sit down or any place,
Yeah. And so
that's hilarious.
How far is your flight home tomorrow? And you nervous? Your parents will
No,
nervous?
not at all. I am going to Boise from here, and it's dumb. I got to fly to Portland first and then get to Boise, which I know it's stupid how flights work these days. And my mom for some reason, she loves me, and this is why she's doing it. But I should just be driving 6 hours home, but she doesn't. And I've done it. I literally did it like 2 weeks ago, and she thinks the weather's awful, but there's no snow on the ground, so I don't really know what she had in mind. But apparently, I'm flying to Oregon, then home.
Well, give her a big hug when you walk in. Sure,
I will.
You. Yeah, man. Does your dad still fish?
He really doesn't. No, he goes when I go. Like he'd love to go for a day out on the boat with me because he doesn't get to go as much. But he's a working man.
All right. What are some of the streams you're willing to name? You grew up fishing in Idaho and the ones you fish in Montana.
Yeah, I'm totally willing to name stuff, man. Everyone should be able to fish everywhere. So I fished the Boise River growing up. That place has like a special place in my heart because it's a very urban river, and it's one of the most difficult rivers to find large fish in, and it holds my biggest brown trout. And it is a very difficult river. It's like all subsurface fly fishing, and it runs right through town. So I just was able to fish that before class in high school and after class in high school and before basketball practice. And I really learned how to fish on that one. And then as time progressed, I was able to get a vehicle, and I fished the Oahe River in Oregon, which is only like 45 minutes from my house in Middleton. And my family's home, not mine. And then the South Fork of the Boise River. Also, like places like Silver Creek and Magic Reservoir over near Sun Valley were awesome places to go fish. And then as time progresses more, I got this job at Henry's Fork Anglers, which I believe Eastern Idaho is like fly fishing paradise with the South Fork Snake River, Teton, Henry's Fork, of course. And then as I am now here, I fish the Bitterroot, the Blackfoot, and the Clark Fork right here in Missoula.
Wow. And you have seen a river runs through it?
I haven't seen it, actually. I've read it, but I read it when I was young, and I didn't understand a single bit of it because it was very, very complex words.
Yes. That's, I think, where I first read about the Blackfoot River.
Yeah, that's where that one was from.
Yep.
Big bull trout in the Blackfoot. I actually tied some jig streamers earlier this morning that I'll throw under a bobber in the springtime when the flows go up, and those bull trout love them.
All right. I want to come back to bull trout, but bobbers, you have a way of figuring out the water depth fishing those on a still water.
Yeah.
Really interesting. You want to explain that for people that
totally
don't have a video in front of them?
Yeah, I'd fish a river over a lake any day of the week, but lakes, if you want to learn how to catch your biggest fish, you need to know how to fish stillwater. Stillwater, in my opinion, holds the largest fish, and that's because there's the most abundance of food and they have a larger area to roam. So when it comes to depth with stillwater, it depends on if the lake has weeds and such, but I'm not a big believer in that fish always are belly to the bottom. So, when I'm fishing like bounce leeches and chironomids, I always start, 6 to 8 feet is a pretty normal range for a trout to cruise at and suspend at. And as the day goes, I change my depths until I find where I'm consistently catching fish.
And how did you measure the depth of the water?
So if I'm fishing fishing off a boat and I have time that day and I'm not really worried about a thing, I'll bring forceps, especially for chironomids. If you're fishing a muddy lake with chironomids, I will clip the forceps to your bottom fly, and then you you loosen up your indicator to where it slides all the way up your long leader and stays afloat. Once your forceps hit the bottom, you can adjust your indicator where it's about to where it's about 6 inches to 2 feet right above the bottom. That's where you know your bottom fly is. It's a good technique.
Have you ever caught a fish while you've had the hemostat on there?
Yep, I didn't. I haven't, and I ended up breaking that fish off.
Oh, no.
Because of the hemostats. He snagged the bottom with something with the hemostats, and he ate the top fly, of course.
That's still pretty cool. I'd rather hook and lose a fish than not hook one at all.
That's true.
Do you have a preference for your chironomids?
It depends for sure. Pyramid Lake, I like having some color and unique color to them. And then like most time I catch fish on, I like a purple chironomid a lot for like anywhere else. And I like a typical snow cone midge, does literally all you need. So also a brown or olive like zebra midge is basically the best chironomid you could make.
I'm not familiar with the snow cone midge.
Snow cone is a white cone. It's like a white bead head with black thread and red wire.
All right.
Or red thread with like black wire or silver wire.
Interesting. You ever fish damselflies?
Oh yeah, all the time. That's what I think an olive bounce leech is probably one of the better ways to imitate a damsel, but I've also tied really realistic ones or bought really realistic ones that do the job the same way.
Very cool.
Small olive wood bugger or a semi-seal leech and just stripping it can do fantastic.
And are you using fancy brand name hemostats, or do you just have like, now that you know you might lose a pair after that time, do you just put a cheap pair on?
Yeah, definitely. I don't drop down a nice pair. Too risky.
I keep mine on a retractor. That way I never lose it.
Yeah, my buddies will always like clip it to something on their body, and I'm like, that's going to fall off. And they're like, no, it's not. And it always falls off.
Yeah, those are the hemostats that you find for yourself are the ones that everyone else loses.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say anything, though, because I don't even own a pair right now because I've lost mine.
I once bought just a huge bag of them on eBay from Pakistan.
No way.
Like 80 pairs, because I'll sell them, and I'll just give them to clients. So I always have them in cup holders in the boat, and my clients are like, oh, these are cool. I don't have these. I'm like, put them in your pocket.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
that's a cool little gift.
And my daughter and her friends always take them out. And then we hook a bluegill, and it swallows the hook, and I'm like, where are all my hemostats to get in there?
Your daughter's just like laughing.
Oh my God. Dude, the stuff she did on my tying table yesterday, there are cut up O-rings. So she likes to take glass beads, put them on a hook, and then use Solares. And she makes these funky caterpillar, juicy grub looking flies. I mean, it's a mess. There's stuff everywhere.
Oh my goodness. Just stuff stuck to each other.
Yeah. And then I knocked over all of my intruder stuff that was in a box from Loose Tea. And it just went all over the floor behind my tying table. So I got to get down there tomorrow.
Dang.
Dig that out. I'm cooking the turkey for 7 hours. So I got some time to clean up.
There you go.
Yeah.
You excited for your dinner tomorrow?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty small. Just my dad, the wife, the kid, and me.
There you go.
So last year we hosted almost 25 to 30 people. And this year it's going to be 4.
Man.
So more turkey for me. What are you looking forward to most at the Thanksgiving meal?
Well, I will not be having mine tomorrow, sadly. I'll be having mine Friday. But most looking forward to I rarely ever does majority of my family get together because my brothers are a lot older than me. So just all of us being together at once is what I look forward to most.
Very cool. My brother and his wife are going to his in-laws out near Dulles Airport.
Nice.
So I told them to swing by for the fire pit, but it's going to be 68 degrees here tomorrow. So
wow.
I don't think we're going to be fire pitting.
That is nice.
Yeah. I was out getting kindling today and I was sweating.
That is incredible. Lucky. It's like 34 at a high here.
But at least you get snow. You know, it doesn't snow here in the last
really?
6 or 7 years. I think we maybe had 1 inch last year.
And where are you, in Virginia?
Yeah.
I definitely thought it snowed there.
Yeah, it's been a weird pattern. I'm hoping we get dumped on this year. It's not like we have anywhere to go.
Right?
And they installed LEDs on the streetlights outside.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'll be able to watch the snow. It's so much brighter out there. Like, you can read at the fire pit at night. It's that bright.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
used to be super dark.
In Michigan, it's like pitch black everywhere you go.
Yeah, so I grew up in a place called Reston, and there were no streetlights anywhere. So I grew up in the absolute pitch black.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, man. All right, so let's talk about, your media and stuff. How you're gonna, try and make a living out of this. And when did you decide I want to do this for a living, hopefully in the future? And what did your mom say?
When I was 17, I went on a really cool trip with my best buddy Bradley to Magic Reservoir, and I just decided, hey, I am I don't really see myself doing anything else, and school is always important to me, and I didn't really know what I wanted to study, and I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to study till my second day of college here, and so it turned out that, hey, I don't see myself doing anything else, and I don't care how much I put into account money, and I said, you know what, I don't really care how much I make, I'm just going to do this. And so right now, my goals are to begin guiding. I'm definitely a people person. I don't see how I could not get a kick out of making someone else's day of being out on the water, doing like what I get to do every single day. That is something I'm really looking forward to. And the media part, I'm going to continue to do on the side just to continue to grow my own name and hopefully bring them
cred on your website too. When you have all that stuff, people are like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's good to have platforms so people can't see one and not paint a picture in their head. Although I hate it when people paint a picture of their head based off what's on the phone screen. But if you got some options to show them what you like to do, and I love to take pictures and video, and that's where media comes. And hopefully working with other fly fishing companies can also grow awareness, and all those people I can hopefully get on the media page will be convinced to come fish with me and have a good time.
Are you good at undoing really bad leader knots?
We'll find out soon.
Okay.
My own I may be decent at, but who knows what a Charlie at 6 trying to throw a dry drop will do to that kind of rig.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, some of the crazy things that have happened to me. People showing up drunk in the morning.
No way. Definitely, I'm going to definitely wear my sunglasses for getting hooked. Yeah. I could see that happening.
Debarb everything, man. It's $100 copay at our hospital, any hospital I go to get a hook taken out.
No way.
Plus, you're also wearing expensive clothes and just a barb
That's
hook.
True.
Yeah, learn how to do the mono method.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it still makes me nervous when I do it to clients. The last one, the woman got maybe a clouser through her shin.
Oh shit!
And I popped it out. She was talking. She didn't even know I did it. And she was super embarrassed because she's like, it's COVID. I haven't shaved my legs in a month. So she looked like the close-up of like a fly's head, like really bristly. She's like, don't look at my legs.
That's hilarious.
You gonna be okay when people break your rods?
I'm not going to let them fish my rods. I'll probably go ahead and buy some some cheaper Redington or TFO setups or something like that. I fish anything I can fish with that's just a little more higher quality than that. But I've fished Redington and crossrod. I've fished like what would be a client rod forever now, and I'm slowly starting to realize, hey, you can fish with nicer things, and so it's awesome. It feels good that I'm actually fishing with something that I can enjoy casting.
Right. What about people trashing the boat?
Oh, it'll happen. I'm not too nervous for that. If people are just disrespectful though, and just like don't take into account that that's like my belonging, that'll be frustrating for sure. But
it's like, dude, this is my office, man. I don't come into your office and just spill coffee and hawk loogies on your floor.
Right. Like, I mean, this is like figuratively, but my drift boat has like just as much value as my car, not literally or figuratively, like I said, but like it does have a lot of value to that person, that owner.
Are you a member of the American Fly Fishing Trade Association?
No, I've never heard of it.
So AFTA, you can get insurance through them. It's like $400 a year.
Okay.
So you want to call up Aurelia, Aurelia.
Okay.
I can probably get you information. Yeah, man. It's fly fishing guide insurance, and you get a discount at Staples. And as a student, it's not bad.
Wow.
I wish we could walk into Staples and buy stuff, but it doesn't work that way.
Huh.
Yeah, there's some perks being with the AFTA. It's something like $35 a year. But AFTA is, that's our main, voice on Capitol Hill and with the other fishing trades.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'll have to look into that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. All CPR certified and everything.
I'm going to get that probably spring, right as spring hits, or, first couple weeks of 2021, just so I'm all squared and ready to go.
Nice.
I want to prove my boss that, hey, I'm coming into the shop. Like, I got the drift bow. I'm going to hopefully have some client rods. I'll try and have a nice looking fly box, good gear, and show them that I'm ready to go. I'm ready to learn, ready to get some people out. It's low odds I get anybody, but this year, but who knows? Might get my luck out.
So let's say you're tying on your third zoo cougar because they've already broken off 2, and they lose that one. What fly are you going to give them next?
Ooh. Their third zoo cougar, like a third streamer, like the Kelly Gap.
Third, so they've already lost like $26 worth of equipment. You going to give them another fancy one, or are you going to put on just like a olive woolly bugger?
I mean, it depends on what I have confidence in. If I really have confidence that fly in that river in that section and know that it could produce, I'm going to put them on another zoo cougar if that's what I'm confident in. Because losing flies happens, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure they realize that is my gear you did lose. Yeah. And it does happen, but there's very little sorrow for you.
I had one guy lose 24 shad flies in like 40 minutes.
Ooh.
It's like, all right, I got this $1 pack of crappie jigs from Walmart just for now. That's what you're going to use for the rest of the day. He went through, and they were 2-fly rigs, and it was like one after another.
Wow.
And the rock, you could see where he was just foul hooking them. It was just where he was standing, the current in the eddy, and this rock. And then the next day, that rock was 2 feet out of the water. The river dropped, the tides were different, and the wind. And, of course, they all washed away by then.
Dang. I thought you were going to tell me that you got all the flies back.
No, we do sometimes. The best is when it's super windy out here and the tidal creeks blow out. Uh-huh. I lost a bunch of flies 2 weeks ago.
Dang.
I got one 3-foot-long catfish and one, 22 inches long.
On a fly rod?
Yeah, on a 6-weight.
That's cool.
And, yeah, it's kind of dead weight, though. I was like, this might just be a stupid striped bass because it's heavy, but it's not fighting.
Right.
And there was something in front of, there's some structure down there, and I lost 4 or 5 flies on it to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm fishing the flies. I don't even fish with clients. They're so dumb and ugly looking. I'll do it to myself. If I start losing expensive stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm switching out to the ugly stuff.
Same. I'll do that too.
So
go ahead.
What do you tie on? What's your vice?
It's a peak vice. I'm actually kind of playing with it right now. It is a peak vice I got from Three Rivers Ranch in Idaho, and it was like an early Christmas gift, and it gets it done. I mean, not much else to it. It gets it done.
You got any favorite materials you like to tie with? Any tool brands you like?
Ooh, not
for Christmas.
I would suggest a peak vice. I do like it, and it's not very expensive to start out. And then for tools, I use pretty raggedy tools, but I could say a good pair of scissors goes a long way. And it kind of depends on what you tie too. But if you tie nymphs, drop the money on UV resin because the nymph looks 20 times better with UV resin, in my opinion, like a Paragon or something, for example. And then if you're doing streamers, I'd say focus on your hooks out of anything and having strong thread because you need to make sure. Like I use 2 tendonier, but also there's GSP that's more expensive, but that stuff does not break. And you want to be able to have very tight cinched up wraps when you're first starting out before you learn like how strong you can go before breaking. And so those are huge tips. I think dry fly fishing, dry fly tying, I just don't even mess with it.
Yeah, I tried learning parachute atoms or just parachutes in general in March. It's like, yeah, I'm going to not do those. I'll just
Seriously?
use a piece of foam.
I don't even touch. When it gets to a fly, it's like below size 12. I just cut it and I don't really do it. I just buy that fly at that point.
Do you have a home fly shop, both in Idaho and Montana?
The one I've kind of been coming into in Montana is Grizzly Hackle in Missoula. There's some guys in here. And then in Idaho, I grew up at the Three Rivers Ranch in Eagle. And just those guys gave me great intel and helped build me up to figure out how to figure out how to fly fish a lot more. And then Henry's Fork Anglers is now the old faithful.
Right. And when you were growing up doing all this, do you have any favorite authors, favorite people on TV that you'd look up to, like heroes or influencers?
Yeah, when I was younger, it was the Guggen Squad, the bass fishermen out of Texas, for sure. And I even if they weren't fly fishing, their videos were just so awesome. And then it kind of turned into trout hunting New Zealand. His YouTube videos were awesome, and I looked up to him. And then now it's definitely like influencers like Jeff Creer and Derek Olthuis.
Right. Yeah, see, you're coming up through this at an amazing time. I had black and white books, and then when I got cable in high school, then I could start watching ESPN on Saturday mornings before I had to go to work. But other than that, man, it was pretty tough what we had.
I imagine, for sure.
Yeah, now you could everything's online. You can Google any kind of knot, just everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, totally.
Do you have a favorite platform that you like to use when you're posting information?
I think Instagram's definitely my favorite. Did you mean to ask that in like a different way or no?
No, yeah, like what do you like to post your stuff on?
I think Instagram's like my favorite because I like to post still photos just as much as I like to post short videos. Although I'm gonna I really hope I can begin improving my YouTube game.
I always just feel like I have never the right time to film.
Yeah, it's because you like fishing.
Yeah, I'm fishing, even with clients. Like I've always wanted to shoot a shad movie when we're out there, but
yeah,
I just never get around to it.
No, yeah, I struggle with the same thing. I enjoy picking up a camera, but I don't enjoy picking up a camera as much as I enjoy fishing. That's for sure.
What are you shooting with? Like
I've got Sony. I got a Sony. It's a mirrorless, so it takes incredible video. But it takes also some great manual still shots too. It is a Sony A7 Mark III, which is actually a camera that a lot of other guys use too.
Nice. You got smartphone. You got your GoPro.
I do run a GoPro Hero 8. Yep. I like it a lot. It gets it done. I just recently got it. It's only about 3 weeks old.
So I got the original one, and I still barely know how to use it. There's 1 or 2 buttons on it.
Original, like legit, like first gen?
Oh, yeah. It's
my goodness.
It's a big square. It's like a thermostat on the wall.
Dude, you should like put it up next to a new one and just laugh. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy how technology improves. And I mean, that was only handful of years ago too, so it's so cool how far they've come.
Yeah, like 10, 12, 15 years ago, I carried a cell phone, a DSLR, I carried a GPS, an iPod, a HD video camera. Like I have a backpack and now it's all in one device. It's insane.
Yeah, seriously.
I did drop my phone in though when I was catfishing. And luckily I found it. It was raining, and I was filming the hole for somebody, and then I was just dead drifting that fly when the first catfish bit, and I stuck it in my wader pouch, and I think it just fell out.
Phone in a wader pouch just isn't a move.
Yeah, and I even have a string, like I can put it around the phone case. You put it around your neck so you won't drop it. And I was telling Luke and Dan the 2 guys that are on the podcast every couple of weeks, because one of them dropped the phone in the water. I'm like, these are $6 at Walmart. And then 2 hours later, I dropped mine in. I'm like, smart guy.
Nice. That's funny, dude.
And with the girlfriend, did she fish? Was that
she does.
Was that a criteria though? Before you met her, like when you were seeking out college ladies, were you like, they got to fish?
No, definitely not. I feel like she doesn't have to fish. I met her in high school, and then now we're doing long distance just with college and whatnot. And she moved to Michigan like as soon as she finished off 1 year in high school, and it's like she doesn't have to fish, but if she enjoys coming out there at least every once in a while with me, like that's all that matters. But she, she didn't come out there and just sit there. So when she does come out, she knows how to row now, and she'll fish, but she's not a fan of the cold. So if she's in a bikini or she's in the heat of the summer, that's where she's at her peak, I guess you could say.
Nothing wrong with bikinis in the boat, as long as it's not me. I want to get one of those vests that you click and they heat up.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that.
I met a construction worker with one like 2 years ago, and he's like, you got to get this. And the dads and I were talking about it the other day at the park. This guy's like, dude, I'm totally getting this electric vest. I'm like, I totally want that for the cold. That might be something for your lady friend.
That is really, really interesting.
I think you charge it with a USB, and then you just click the logo, and it's got copper wires through it, and the vests heat up.
That's nuts.
Those should be in every fly shop.
Seriously. As long as they're not preventing off incredible levels of radiation, I think that'd be okay.
Yeah. They can put that in a vest. They could put that in a rod so the ice doesn't build up in the guides.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So speaking of the YouTube and stuff, where else do you gain your information besides, you working in a shop, hopefully picking everyone's brain?
Yeah.
Do you read a lot of fishing books?
Not really, man. I think I learn a lot through just like social media too. Like I learn a lot through social media, but I'm a firm believer in you'll get so much further getting out on the water and learning yourself versus asking a million people. And, I've been through that stage. I love to talk to people and get intel and ask them some questions, but, I've learned over time. When I was younger, I would go bombard people with a bunch of questions, and instead of just like asking a handful, enough to get me on the water and with maybe a good fly suggestion from somebody, and then you just go from there and you take off, and then that's up to you to learn.
Anything you picked up that you'd for teaching others? Because that's one thing about being a guide is teaching them all the little tricks and stuff. Any favorites that you might have?
Like favorite tips for when you just get into fly fishing?
Yeah, you have any hacks or anything that you've learned? Ooh. Like the first person that doubled over their fly line to string it through their guides was like, I'm onto something.
Yeah, that's definitely a hack.
And people will show up with their rod strung through the hook keep.
Oh, no. I've never seen that yet, but I can't wait for that. So little things on fishing, I'd say fishing out of a boat would be something I recently just learned is when you're like not fishing, pull your line like in and out of the water, because I've lost big fish that were in the net from not paying attention, from fly line catching on debris and whatnot.
I've had people just have their line behind the boat and then it gets sucked into the outboard.
Yeah, that's not a good thing either at all. That's a good tip. Another one would be hook sets are free. Unless you're like literally got this huge tungsten fly in 2 foot of water with a 8-foot bobber rig. You're not setting on every...
on your website on some sticker. Hook sets are free.
That would be funny.
You just coined yourself a new term.
Have you not heard that one?
No.
Oh,
maybe
you should use it.
East Coast, West Coast.
When you're guiding and you got someone who's got a bobber down and you don't know and they don't know, but they don't set because they go, oh, I don't think that's a fish. There was a funny meme I saw on Instagram the other day it was like a guide meme, and the person's like, oh, that wasn't a fish, and the guide's like, set, and and then the fish like jumps out of the water after they didn't set. Freaking funny.
Yes.
Those are 2 tips.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite hack for keeping the rods from freezing up, since we don't have electric rods yet?
No. I think if you, I don't. I really don't. I just go ahead and just find patience to go break off the ice.
Yeah, I don't think I've even worn gloves out here fishing in like 3 years. So down here, like I go up to New York or Ohio. If I'm fishing the Great Lakes in winter, I'm breaking ice off, but I don't do that down here anymore. That's
awesome. Yeah, I definitely don't like it. It's uncomfortable to fish with gloves, for sure. But it's cold when it's like under 32 though. It's pretty hard not to fish with gloves.
Do you ever wear the latex gloves?
I haven't, but I'm gonna start like trying them for sure.
That was gonna be my plan this year for steelhead.
Yeah.
Once my hands get wet, and then just freeze. I just cannot get them warm again. But I've got my solo stove now, my little bonfire, so I can always have that on the shore warming up my hands.
Wow, that's nice.
It's a coffee can sized fire pit, and there's no smoke.
Wow.
It is pretty awesome. Put that on your Christmas list.
Whew, I like it. What kind of species do you catch out east in Virginia? Do you catch, so you said catfish, but do you get some smallies, and then do you get stripers?
You never know what you have until you land it. So the springtime, late April, early May is when the shad come in, and those are migratory fish from the ocean. And you have hickory shad and American shad. A big American can run 7 pounds if she's full of eggs. And there's
what do you catch them on?
Damselflies and little jigs. Just something tiny. I use mostly size 4 streamer hooks or size 10 curved scud hooks. And you can get 60, 70 in a afternoon. And they're all going to just bend a 5 weight, and they're going to flip and jump. And as that season progresses, then the white perch show up, the smallmouth wake up, the crappie wake up, the largemouth wake up. You've got, there's goldfish in there. There's tilapia.
That's so cool how diverse that fishing that like biome and water system is compared to like out here.
And then after the stripers show up, then the gar come in.
Oh, nice.
Needlefish, and then that sort of tapers off, and then there's also the snakeheads migrating with the shad and stripers up the shorelines. So that's just crazy in itself.
Oh, yeah.
And then we just do largemouth and stripers all summer. We'll do stillwaters for largemouth. I've got a spot where the bluegill go over a pound.
Wow.
So on a 4 weight, it's pretty solid.
What are they eat?
Beadhead nymphs, Chernobyl ants, kind of whatever. I do a lot of wormy fishing. Because a lot of my clients, they don't have... They don't look down on what you would call junk flies, like glow bugs and worms. They don't know.
They don't know.
They have no idea. And my job is to make them smile. So we fish a ton of wormies.
Oh yeah. Nothing wrong with that. They do a lot of that in Montana here for big fish.
There's some really cool stuff at 5 and below today. There was clear wormy material. And then they basically had some dolls, and their hair was basically squirmy wormy material. 5 inches long in pink, blue, or purple.
Wow. I should really look there.
5 Below store, man. Yeah.
Michigan, they have them.
My daughter's like, she goes there and spends her own money. I'm like, it's your money, whatever.
That's awesome.
Bubble tape and some kind of squishy balls.
Whatever a youngin' wants to spend their money on. That's funny.
She wants Robux for playing Roblox.
Oh no, you gotta get out of there.
Yeah. So your plan for working in a fly shop is going to come back in the warmer weather?
Yeah. So seasonal, it's definitely in the summers. From like with college, it'll be from like first week of May to first week of August. But then, when college ends, I plan to still be out there. It'll you can fish into the September, October months with people, with tourists still coming in.
Would you be the guide that goes down to the Gulf Coast or Florida in the winter, or would you stick around?
Yes, that's like my all-time goal.
Okay.
That would just be incredible. That would be incredible because I know I have some recognition in Florida areas. So I just I don't know. I've been the best of both worlds. If you can get beaches in the winter and mountains in the summer, because I love snow. It's gorgeous, but I don't like 30-degree weather by any means.
Yeah, at least if it snows, I can handle it. We just get cold and no snow here.
Very. That's probably kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it's just ugly and gross.
I get you.
I was hoping to get to Colorado this winter, but Summit County in Colorado doesn't really want people coming there.
Yeah. I mean, some counties are stricter than others. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, my wife doesn't think she already got her ski pass. She's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And I said, drive.
No. But I don't know. Drive everywhere now if you want to get somewhere too, because planes are kind of weird now too.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends with RVs out here now, and I really want to get one, like a Class
nice. B. Yeah. Way cool, dude.
More space than sleeping in my Xterra. And you said you got a bed set up in your truck?
I got a camper shell, but I'm definitely I definitely have slept back there. It's just a little bit tight. it's pretty fun. Like, well, I guess when you close it up, it's tight because I'm like 5'11", and I have to bend my knees back there, and that's uncomfortable. So I sometimes just sleep in the truck.
I spent a summer in Colorado living out of an original Honda CRV, and
Wow.
my knees sort of had a spoon over the wheel bump for the rear wheel. Not comfortable. You couldn't even sleep diagonally in there. Plus, I had all my gear because I was living out of my car.
Yeah.
Sleeping on top of duffel bags and stuff at night. Mountain lions outside, trying to eat horses on the ranch.
That is the life right there.
Yeah. You got it good right now. At your age, with no kids, no wife, no mortgage. Still on your parents' health insurance?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah, I do. I know.
You got it good. You're going to look back, just take advantage of all opportunities you can now. Not that you haven't. You fished Pyramid Lake. You've done Alaska. You fished Oregon, all over Montana, all over Idaho.
I'm very blessed.
Yeah. Any saltwater?
Yes, I have done. I've done Key West, Florida, Islamorada, Florida, and just like Fort Lauderdale. And my dad, when he took that job back when I was younger, he was just north of Miami, about 35 minutes, and so I got to visit him over the course of the last 6 to 7 years. So
that's where my grandparents lived. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, it's way cool over there. I got to do like peacock bass and just banking it for snook and stuff, and local tarpon. It was way cool.
Very cool. Anything else about pursuing fly fishing as a lifestyle and fly fishing as life that I didn't ask you?
I guess one of the only things was like where the money comes from, and that's just something I'm trying to learn. Guiding is a way, and then there's, making your own business is another way, and then there's being a producer or like a photographer in the terms of media. And so I think if I could do them all one day, that would just be the ultimate dream. I love to film and make videos, and like to take cool pictures and have a platform to post them. And, if I could be guiding and then take very cool pictures at the same time and work with a company, and there's benefits all around. So that's, I guess, the only way of the dream of traveling, fishing, and filming, if that can happen, is if you have to be able to dive in and dabble into a little bit of everything. And so that's what I'm trying to do at a young age.
You'll have a big portfolio by the time you graduate. And you are what you would call out here somebody that works to live versus lives to work. There are people here that spend 12 hours a day in their offices. There's, before COVID, rush hour was at 4 a.m. here.
No way.
Yeah. I would leave on road trips at 5 a.m. and just be completely stuck with cars that drove in from an hour away.
Oh my goodness, for work.
Yeah. Just to sit and, pumped in air and no lights all day, and then spend 2 hours driving home again. So your life is just working. So what, you have like 2 days off that you can have fun, versus someone like you that wants to, work so you can have more fun time.
Right. Exactly, man. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. You want to do some random questions now?
Sure.
All right. What's the best sandwich in Missoula?
Best sandwich. I like Doc's. I haven't branched out much because I have a campus plan, and I like to use that to my advantage because it's hard to find extra side cash as a college student. That I don't have a stable job here, a stable like college job, other than some DoorDash. But yeah, I'd say Doc's is a good on campus that I've experienced, and they have it off campus as well.
What about back in Boise?
Good sandwich in Boise?
Yes.
Ooh. Big Judd's makes a good burger, not necessarily a sandwich.
Is there an actual Big Judd?
I don't know. That's a good question, too. A good sandwich in Boise? Lucky 13 is a great one.
I'm hoping that there's a podcast listener that's been taking notes of all of these and making one Google map. Because I sure awesome. As heck haven't.
That's hilarious.
So, living or dead, which fly fishing pioneer would you most want to go fishing with if given the opportunity?
Jeff Career.
Nice. That's going to be some bizarre place, or it's going to be like a backyard pond. You never know with him.
Seriously. With him, you never know.
Can you do?
I hope to fish with him soon.
He's a really cool guy. I've only just met him at shows, but
yeah, his shows are cool.
Yeah. Can you do any impersonations?
Ooh, I could do the Grinch.
Let's hear it.
Oh no, this is embarrassing, but I'll send it.
I haven't seen The Grinch. Those movies are creepy.
My girlfriend doesn't like it, but me and my buddy will do impersonations all the time when they're on the river.
Nice. Do you have an ultimate bucket list destination? Say I fly into Montana tonight with a private jet, gassed up, and I can take you anywhere in the world. What's that spot that you have to fish before you die?
Oh man, I've thought of this one before. I would probably say it would have to be somewhere. I'd say somewhere like the Seychelles. So anywhere saltwater related. Ah man, I don't know a specific. That's tough. I've actually thought of that. Okay, I'll do a couple different scenarios. If you were saying it had to be saltwater, definitely would be somewhere like Belize or, like the South China Sea or Africa and catch permit bonefish and tarpon, like catch all those very cool inshore species. But if it were something else, for example, like trout, it would definitely be New Zealand.
One of my clients lives down the street, but he's a Kiwi by birth. His whole family's just been there quarantining,
Wow.
And he's just been out trout fishing. It's just not
No,
fair.
that is so unfair.
What's the best part about owning a drift boat?
I think it's just accessing water that no one else gets to, and the luxury of being able to fish while like on the move and staying dry. There's many.
See, I'm jealous. I'm fishing still waters, tidal creeks, tidal bays. If the water's moving, it's the tide. I don't actually get to fish like flowing water like you guys do.
It's gorgeous.
That's a complete different lifestyle. Do you have any pet peeves?
Buddies that bail last minute.
For fishing or in general?
I'd say for fishing for the most part.
What about dudes that are late to fish?
Like
in a river, you haven't seen the movie.
Good excuse that have to be there. But I mean, if you plan a day to fish with a guy, let's say a week ago, and you set that aside in your calendar and you text him the night of, yo, what's the game plan? And he either doesn't respond until 2 a.m. because he's out doing his thing. That is a pet peeve, but it's, there's excuses, but it is frustrating because I'll get myself together and set up, and then if he's not, then it's frustrating.
When you are consuming hot dogs, do you put ketchup or mustard on them?
Definitely ketchup.
And Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs from Kansas City, apparently he puts ketchup on his Thanksgiving turkey.
I believe it.
It's gross some people out.
I believe it. I mean, ketchup's good. He's just a big Chiefs guy too, so he likes anything red.
Okay. What's the first thing you want to do once everyone's vaccinated with no coronavirus being around?
Go to a freaking football game.
Missoula?
Yeah, I want to watch our team play because that is something that's been taken from us, and that's a huge deal here in Missoula.
Yeah, we still have Ohio State, and which is kind of cool because the season started so late because it was originally canceled. That we're going to be watching games into December.
Wow.
So I'm a little excited for that. Yes, I married into a Buckeyes family.
Wow. How was that? Is it not bad?
It's pretty good, man. My wife grew up 5-6 minutes from campus.
That's cool.
So, yeah, we're always over there. I was hanging out on campus this summer, and no, it was Labor Day weekend. We were up there on Labor Day, and I didn't realize the football team was practicing when I went by the stadium. I could have gone and watched.
No way.
I heard it on the loudspeaker. I just thought they were replaying old stuff, but they were out there practicing on the field.
There you go.
I could have walked up to the horseshoe, and my wife actually lived in that stadium her freshman year. Inside the
How?
There were concrete dorm rooms inside the stadium.
What?
I don't know how she did it with no windows. Like, you wake up at 7. How do you know it's AM or PM?
That is so true.
Yeah. What is your favorite hatch?
Definitely. Henry's Fork gets the green drakes and the golden stoneflies at the same time, basically. And I think that is just unbeatable.
As young as you are, how are you fishing and guiding to prepare to protect yourself from the sun? So you don't look like someone. I mean, I'm sure you've seen some old fishing guides and they're just like leather.
Yeah, that's something I need to work on. I actually have had like moles that were seriously needed to be checked out on my scalp. So I always wear a hat.
You are also from Mazarasha, and Mazarashans have fair skin.
Yes, very true.
My wife, she goes out on full moon, gets burnt.
Yeah, so true. It's actually kind of funny though, because my mom and my brother both have like an olive dark skin, and so they never get burnt. But I am much more white. I protect myself I try and wear I'm not a fan of buffs, but I like to wear like SPF hoodies are my favorite, for sure.
I'm a big fan of the Patagonia really lightweight hoodies. I wore those all summer, and I've got a really expensive Australian cowboy hat. I couldn't wear it because I had to wear a buff over my face, which goes over my hat, my baseball hat all summer, which kind of sucks.
You gotta find the like good happy medium outfit that just works in like every scenario.
I've got these pants. I'm gonna do a podcast coming up. My favorite things. I have the shorts. I wear the capris when I'm guiding.
What are those?
It's like women's long shorts. They go like down to my shin.
Oh, okay.
So they cover 3/4 of my legs, so I don't get sunburnt. But then if I need to jump in and out of the boat, when I get back in, I don't have all this wet legging like hanging up on my feet and dragging my pants down.
Yeah.
I can wet wade in them. I can jump in and out of the boat. I look goofy and ridiculous, but they're just awesome.
That's sweet.
And they're quick dry. They're stretchy.
I like quick dry pants.
Yeah. All right.
And Crocs. You got to have Crocs.
You're a Crocs guy? I'm a Choco dude.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I got Grateful Dead Chacos now. I got to show those to my brother next to because he's going to want a pair.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. Last question.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go into all sorts of millennial stuff, but I feel like that would be almost making fun of you for being a millennial. I didn't want to do that. Last question then. You mentioned there was a big brown trout. What is the biggest fly rod fish you've ever caught? Tell us about it.
Okay. Biggest fly rod fish I've ever hooked was a tarpon last spring with my buddy Max from Henry's Fork Anglers in Key West. Did not get the fish in, but I hooked it. And it was probably between like 80 and 120 pounds.
Oh, that's big.
It was a good fish. And then my largest fish to hand, it would either have to be it's a tie actually. A 34-inch Lahontan cutthroat out of Pyramid Lake, or a 34-inch lake trout.
My goodness.
And those fish were in the 14 to 16 pound range, I would say.
Wow. Was Pyramid Lake as cool as you thought it was going to be?
The first time it wasn't. The second time it was the experience.
That's even cooler. You've been back twice.
It was only about a 6-hour drive from Boise.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
All right, Mr. Joseph, where can listeners find you online?
Yeah, so my website's www.idafly.com. On there you can find like Henry's Fork Anglers. You can find just some stickers and shirts I made for fun when I dropped the website. And then you can also find some like my past work and like some fun little stories my buddies have written through a blog. And then you can find my Instagram. It's at IdaFly. So IdaFly, 2 A's, 2 Y's. And my TikTok is also that. And then I have a YouTube as well, which is just IdaFly.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us this evening. If you ever find yourself in the D.C. metro area, maybe you're flying in Michigan and there's a layover in D.C., you can catch fish at either end of the runway.
That's awesome.
5-minute walk in either direction, catch fish. One end is stripers, cool. The other end is carp, catfish, tilapia, goldfish, snakeheads. etc.
That is so cool that fly fishing exists in that part of a community. Doesn't matter if it's warm water or cold water species.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me today. It was great talking with you.
All right, dude. Thank you so much. Have a safe travel, and
Thank you.
let us know how you do on the steelhead trip in Michigan.
Yeah, will do. It'll be all over the media pages, updating how the fishing is and how my hands are freezing.
Yeah. All right, man. And I'll send you the solo stove bonfire stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing will fit in your gear bag.
Wow.
It puts off 3 like if you like a hula hoop size radiation of heat from this little thing. And it runs on just garbage and sticks.
My goodness.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. And we'll
Thank
be in
you.
touch.
Yeah. Take care, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us for the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast. For more information or to contact Rob, please go to www.robsnowhite.com.
This podcast is brought to you by Freestone Productions at freestoneproductions.com.